Hello, I'm Patricia Henderson with Senior Connection Center, and this is your weekly connection. We are hearing more and more in news reports about elders being the victims of abuse, neglect, and exploitation. Unfortunately, this is a growing problem both in our country and around the world. Here today to discuss this with us is Allison Bryant, Statewide Elder Abuse Prevention Coordinator at the Florida Department of Elder Affairs. Allison, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Now, Allison, in Florida, both child abuse and elder abuse reports are investigated by the Department of Children and Families. What is the role of the Department of Elder Affairs in elder abuse prevention?
So, at the Department of Elder Affairs, I oversee the Elder Abuse Prevention Program. And basically what that is we provide education and outreach, primary prevention, with regard to preventing abuse, neglect, and exploitation. And many times, many people, citizens, the general public, confuse us with the Department of Children and Families, and they call us wanting to report abuse, neglect, or exploitation. And we are not the agency that does that. Again, DCF, Department of Children and Families, Adult Protective Services, they administer the abuse hotline, which is available 24/7, and they provide, conduct investigations and accepts reports. Now, we also provide free materials and training and presentations to any and everyone who is interested in learning about abuse, neglect, and exploitation. From seniors, family members, caregivers, and professionals, we want everyone to know how to identify and who to report abuse, neglect, and exploitation to.
How does someone find out about some of the materials you have, or request someone to come and speak to their group, either virtually or hopefully one day in person again?
Right. Well, you can go to the Department of Elder Affairs website under the Elder Abuse Prevention Program to find a statewide map. But easily, someone can call the Elder Helpline, which is free, and it's 1-800-963-5337 to speak with their local abuse prevention coordinator. And by speaking with the local abuse prevention coordinator, they can find out what materials are available and how to obtain the free training and presentation that's offered through our program.
And we will have that phone number as well as other phone numbers and websites at the end of the video for people to refer to so that they can request materials or presentations. Allison, we have heard more about elder abuse in recent years. How big is the problem of elder abuse nationally and specifically in the state of Florida?
So specifically in the state of Florida, for the state fiscal year, by DCF, Adult Protective Services, they report over 49,000 cases of abuse, neglect, and exploitation. Nationally, the numbers are huge. There are many stats that range from, for every one report, 10 go unreported, or for every one, 14 go unreported. So there are different variations. There's some estimates that say nationwide over 5 million cases of abuse, neglect, and exploitation are reported each year. So ultimately, when you think about, say for instance, for every 1 in 14 that go unreported, for that one, and for the 49,000 that we're looking at for the state of Florida, you multiply that by 14. And even for the 5 million that's reported for the nation, that's exponential numbers that we're talking. And ultimately, you have to look at it as, even though we have stats, there's so many that are unreported.
And reporting is important, but what do people report and how do people report? What are a few of those signs that people should recognize as something that's just not right, and maybe somebody needs to look into that situation?
Well, when we're talking about abuse, neglect, or exploitation, What we're talking about really is a health and human rights issue. It needs to be addressed. And like so many other issues, unless it happens to someone individually themselves or someone that they know, our society in general, we don't talk about it. And typically 90% of the time when abuse, neglect, or exploitation occurs, it's a family member that's the perpetrator. And so what to look for, especially during these times, during our pandemic, that many people are basically staying at home, is very concerning. You have many homes that are multi-generational, and this poses a dynamic where abuse, neglect, or exploitation may occur. Someone may need money because they're unemployed, have a drug habit, or is alcoholic, or simply it could just be payback for where mom or dad was abusive to them when they were children, and they feel, well, now it's my turn. Unfortunately, that is not acceptable, and that's not the case. And victims can range from seniors, those with disabilities, the LGBTQ community, those with memory disorders, and really can occur in any setting, in private homes, in nursing homes. Things to look for, and it's more than just what we're talking about today, just to keep that in mind, but you have cuts, bruises, soiled clothing, lack of food, water, or medicine. The individual may show signs of fear or anxiety. They may be isolated or withdrawn. They may be depressed. The senior also may be hesitant to speak with anyone with the presence of a particular person around. So those are just a few things to really look for, but keep in mind there's so many other aspects to it that we want you to be able to say, okay, I suspect abuse, neglect, or exploitation. And if you suspect it, you don't have to be able to prove it. We want you to contact the professionals. Let them make that decision, and that is by reporting to the abuse hotline.
And one of the other things that may be a factor is change. Someone who may have always been very outgoing and now they're withdrawn, or they're always put together and now they're unkempt. Change. Absolutely. Could that be a factor as well?
Yes, definitely. If you suspect, and that's the key word there, if we're asking you, if you think or suspect something is happening or going on that just doesn't feel quite right, and you have that gut instinct that maybe I need to report, let the professionals make that decision, and please contact the abuse hotline.
And how does someone do that?
There are various ways. You can, the old-fashioned faxing, some people still fax, by phone, which is wonderful and is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And let me also mention, by reporting abuse, neglect, or exploitation, everything is kept confidential. You can do it anonymously, but keep in mind that everything is kept confidential. Also, Adult Protective Services has made it easier to report online. So that is another aspect of it as well, to be able to report. You have fax, phone, and online.
And what is that abuse hotline number?
1-800-962-2873.
And we'll have that at the end of the video as well. Now, what are some ways to prevent elder abuse, especially during this pandemic time?
Yes. So we like to say education is the key to prevention. And you have, there's no excuse. There are free available options or resources for you. The Elder Abuse Prevention Program that I oversee through the Department of Elder Affairs, that's administered statewide by the Aging and Disability Resource Centers, also known as Area Agencies on Aging. I have a local counterpart, such as yourself, Patricia Henderson, who is the local abuse prevention coordinator. And to reach your local abuse prevention coordinator, just call the Elder Helpline at 1-800-963-5337 and ask to speak with your local coordinator. And also I would say, you know, share the information that you learn with others, especially those who are in rural, low income, and minority communities. They may not have access to the technology. They may not know how to access the technology. Also, by staying socially active, being engaged with the community, and checking on those who are unable to get out, especially right now, as you mentioned, during this pandemic, we want any information that you learn to be shared with any and everyone. So for those who are able, definitely please, please, please check on your family, your neighbors, your friends who may not have the ability to stay socially active in this environment.
Isolation is one of the largest risk factors for abuse, neglect, or exploitation, and that is one reason that this time is so concerning for so many people. And so reach out, stay connected, and if you are alone, reach out to the Elder Helpline, reach out to a friend who may be waiting for someone to reach out to them. Allison, do you have any final thoughts for us?
I do, actually. And I first, thank you again for this opportunity to do this recorded segment to educate our general public about abuse, neglect, and exploitation. And I want to share an experience I had at a domestic violence training, and it just stuck with me. And it basically is of a woman who spent her entire lifetime abused as a daughter of a man who was abusive to her as a daughter. Then she married a man who abused her. Then her son ended up abusing her as her caregiver. And she spent her entire lifetime not knowing that this is not normal. This is not what life is about. And so educating and reaching those who are unable to get this information, I think is extremely important. So please, if you share whatever information that you may learn from this segment or from the materials you may receive, please share that information with those who may not have access. So thank you.
Thank you, Allison, for being with us today and for sharing such good information. Remember that abuse hotline number is 1-800-962-2873. And if you suspect abuse, neglect, or exploitation, or if you think you are the victim of abuse, neglect, or exploitation, please call. You don't have to prove it. Please just report your suspicions. I'm Patricia Henderson, and this is your Weekly Connection.